In today's video, we're going to be learning how to make this very beautiful and simple reversible jacket. This means that both the front and the back is wearable. So if this is what you're interested to learn how to do, please stay tuned and watch till the end. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Stay tuned. Now on this brown paper, I'm going to be marking my peplum first. So I want to show you quickly how to cut a 720 flay, okay, 720-degree flay, and we're going to do this by doing 360 flay times 2. That's 360 flay, because 360 plus 360 equals to 720. Please, I hope this math is not hard. So you can see how I folded into 2, then I bent it over. Okay, so I'm trying to bend this paper over, and I'm going to be using my waist measurement divided by, I'm going to put the measurement on the screen. I'm using my waist measurement divided by 8 to cut out this measurement. So please, to have a 360, a 720-degree flay, it is 32 divided by 8 to give me 4. So on my brown paper, I'll be marking 4. And don't forget that this is going to be leaving me at 360 if I don't do this 360 times 2. Okay, so I'm going to be marking at 4 and quarter, or you can even put 4.5. All right, this is just for my joining allowance and all that. So at 4.5, I marked it. Immediately I was sure of where the 4.5 was. That's the curve. You can see the way I placed my tape, and then I will now start from the tip of the brown paper. Okay, now to mark it out very easily, I'm tracing it out, you know, on that particular curve, and I'm going around. I know that it's at 2 point something, just as seen. Follow what you're seeing here, and you would not make mistake. Okay, now don't forget that you are very free to ask any question that you don't understand. All right, so I'm just trying to trace out this my marked line, and then I'm going to also measure out the full flay. Now I want to measure out the length of this peplon. All right, so I'm using 9.5. Okay, or I'll just use 8.5, then I'll add ½ inch for my sewing allowance. So I'll be marking at 9 inches. All right, because I'll be using ½ inch for my sewing allowance. I just want to have 8 at the end of the day. All right, so I'll use ½ inch for the lower part, ½ inch for the upper part joining. So that's why I'm marking at 9 inches. The length of the flay I just cut out now is 8 inches, but I just added my allowance to it so that when I'm cutting on my fabric, I don't need to add any more allowance. I hope this is clear. So you can see that I traced out my lines. Okay, and I'm going to cut out this quickly. Please don't forget that as you're looking at this paper I marked now, this is just the 360. If you don't have it, if you don't have 2 of this particular, you know, shapes. So I already have one. I'll be using this particular one. You can see the full circle. I'll be using it to place on my fabric and cut 2 pieces of each. All right, 2 pieces of it. Now that's for it. Now for the rest of for the upper part of this jacket, I'm going to be marking 3 inches for my neck width, and then I'll come down by 1.5 inches for my back neck area. Okay, so I'll just mark at 1.5. Please, for your back neck area, just use 1.5 inches, unless you want to, you know, do something deeper than that. So I'm just marking 1.5, and for the front neck area, I'll just use up to 3 inches. In fact, I'll use 5 inches for my neck depth for the front. Okay, but what we are cutting out now is the back. Okay, now my normal shoulder is 8. I'm going to go in, okay, by 1 inch. So instead of marking my shoulder measurement of 8, I'll mark it at 7 inches. Okay, so whenever you're marking this kind of jacket, please don't just use your arm. But if you actually want to use that, that's still okay. But this is what I'm doing. So this is 1.5. I'm coming down from that area for my shoulder slant. Okay, this is basically the basic body measurement. All right, so You can see now I marked at 7 inches, don't forget, and then I came down by 1 inch for my shoulder slant. Now I'll be marking my half length. The half length I'm using is, my normal half length is about 17 inches, but I'll be coming up, okay, I'll be coming up and then I'll be marking at 15.5 inches or at 15 inches, all right, because I'm going to be using the rest of that 2 inches or 3 inches. That's 18 inches minus 3 inches, that's about 15 inches. That means I'll be having a band at around that area, and that band will be a 3 inches band. All right, so my half length is 17, and then I came up by 3 inches. So you can see that my waist, what I'm using to mark my waist, is 4 inches. That means I'm dividing my waist measurement by 8 inches, the same measurement I used to cut out my flare. And then when I marked it, from that point that I marked it, that's where I'm connecting that 4 inches to the upper part where I marked my 7 inches for my shoulder slant. Okay, so this is it. Now for the front, don't forget to come down for the neck width. So I'm cutting this out now. Don't forget that we have the peplum, that's the flare, okay, and then we have the upper part of this jacket. All right, so this is me just cutting it out. Now I'm going to be placing all this, okay, you can see how it looks. I'm going to be using these fabrics, and then I'll be placing all these shapes on these fabrics. Okay, so you can see that I'm using 2 different fabrics because it's a reversible jacket. All right, so I'm using this blue jacket, and I'll be cut this piece brown paper shapes that I cut out. Now I'll cut it out on each of this fabric, each of them. That's one will act as the lining and the other one will act as the main fabric. Now just watch as I cut this fabric. I've already folded it in. You can see I folded it into 2, then into another 2. Then I don't have any opening around the sides, okay, for now, but I'll open it subsequently. So I just went ahead and cut out my peplum, and don't forget that I already added my allowance, okay, on this paper already. So that's why I'm cutting out without actually adding our allowance. So that particular one I just cut now, I'll have it two of it to form this color, this fabric now will have 2 of that peplum. And then I'm also cutting out this one for the upper side of this jacket, and this will also have 2, one for the front and one for the back. Okay, now when cutting out the back, this is the back now I'm cutting out. I'm using the same measurement, all right, but when cutting out the front of this jacket, I'm going to move it a bit. Okay, I'm going to move, this is the front because the jacket will be divided in the front, so I'll just leave about ½ inch, okay, for folding in the edges of the front area. This material is a bit colorful, so it may not be that clear, but just follow what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm just trying to trace it out. I left about ½ inch at the front area because I'm going to be cutting it open for the front. Okay, and I will also deepen my neck area. So this side that is cut into 2 now is the front, and the back doesn't have an opening. Okay, so this is for one side of this jacket, and then I'll cut out the other one. Okay, now you can see the other fabric. I cut it out, the back, the front, okay, and then the other side. Now the peplum also, each of the fabrics has 2 different peplums, 2 different 360 peplum. Okay, so you can see this peplum for one side of this jacket. This jacket is reversible, so you must have to ensure that you are using a fabric, unless you just want to use a lining. Now I also cut out a cloth gum, okay, for one of the sides, whatever side you decide on. Why I'm using one of the sides is because the cloth gum will already make the jacket heavy. Okay, it will make it too heavy if I added cloth gum on 2 sides. All right, and it's sufficient for one side. So I just cut out 3 inches width for my band, and then I'm using the band as long as it takes me round my waist area. Now I also turned out, don't forget I told you that one side of this fabric, so I chose this color of this fabric to bear the burden of the cloth gum. Okay, So I just turned it out, you can see, and I ironed my clothes gum perfectly on the peplon. Don't forget I have two 360s together, so I'm going to be cutting out this side because at one end I'm going to be joining it. Okay, then I also place the other one, this other color that will be serving as the lining or the body, any side that I want to wear on any day. I will still cut this out. The two peplons will be cut out because this is where I'm going to be joining them. All right, now I'm going to join it this way. Just look at, just here only, the two colors. Okay, and I will do the same thing for the other color of fabric. Now when I have joined it, you know, I've joined the two 360 degrees now together. That means I have a full 720-degree, you know, flare. Right now I'm going to be placing them. You can see this side that I joined. I will use the other color of fabric that is still joined at this point and place it at the same point. Okay, so let me quickly do that, and then at one end I will curve it, but when I get there I will still show you. You can just iron this out to give it a flat, you know, finishing and all that. So you can see these points that I have joining. I'll bring out the points that I have joining on this other blue fabric as well, and then place it together. Okay, and then I'll be joining it. No stress, no issue. You can see that it's very easy, direct and simple. So I will just join it at the lower end. I will perfectly place it very well and then join it at the lower end, and that's what I just did. I just joined it round. Okay, now after doing this, I want us to be done with this peplum before we consider the upper side. After doing this, I'm going to be shaping this front area. You know, this side will be the front. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a bit of a curve. Okay, I'm just going to curve it from this end. I'm using my free hand. Now if you don't want it to be this deep, you can come out a bit. If you want it to be deeper than this, just ensure that the top, you can see that I'm moving from, I'm not cutting out anything at this upper area. Okay, because that's where I don't want to make it shorter than the upper side. Okay, so just ensure that you do it perfectly and rightly. Okay, so after doing that, I just ran a stitch and then I closed it up, and this is me just turning out the peplon, and then I'll give it a good press. You can see I didn't use any hemming gum around this area. It's just going to come out perfectly. Okay, so I'll just quickly iron this out, and this is how it actually looks. You can see how perfectly it's lapping already. Okay, now this is it for this 720 peplon, and I'm going to be attaching it to the upper side of this jacket, this reversible jacket. Okay, now for this side, the upper side, I will take the two colors that are matching. You can see this whole body, I'm joining them together. I'll join these two together at the shoulder, this end and then this end, and I will do the same thing for the other color of fabric. Okay, that will be serving as either the lining or the bedding. So you can see it, I will still place it and then do the same thing, join it. After joining it, okay, I will now place two of them together. Okay, arrange it properly and then stitch round. The only places that are going to be open is, I'm going to point them out for you so you see the places that will be open, but look at where I'm going to stitch through all the way down. This lower end will be open, and then this one will be open with this other side. Okay, so I have stitched this round and I left the pointed out sides to be open. I will show you now. This side is open, you can see it. The other side is open as well, and then the lower end is open. So these are the sides that I will flip my fabric through. Okay, you can see me flipping it now. It's that easy, very simple. Okay, now after doing this, I'll quickly give this part a good press. All right, and that's practically what I'll be doing for this upper part. Now I'm going to place this aside. I'll make sure that I bring out the ends, then I'll place it aside. And for the peplon, you can see that this peplum is already standing perfectly. Now I'll get the midpoint of this peplum, okay, that side that I joined. Okay, so I have it here now, and then this my band that is just 3 inches. Okay, I will place it, find the middle point, that's the midpoint of this band. The length I used, I just used my waist measurement, 2 times of my waist measurement, and I didn't have excess, or I didn't want the thread to be too long, the rope to be too long, that I will now be looking for where to put it inside through after tying it. Okay, so I just notched the midpoint of this band, and I'm going to be taking the midpoint to place at that middle point. Okay, that joining that we joined initially at the beginning of the video. All right, when joining the 2 360s together. So you can see the way I'm placing my band now. I'll place one notch side. You can see this fabric, the right fabric facing each other. I will not take the other combination. I will not take this one and place on top of. I'll place it to the right side, and then this other combination of 3 inches, I'll place it under. You know that the band is 2, one for the blue side and this other one for the multi-colored side. Okay, so I will now have this peplum in between the 2 bands. Okay, I will ensure that I have the midpoint of each of them meeting together at that middle point where I joined this peplum. All right, this is so simple. Just follow this thing very easily, and you can see that I'm pinning it all the way to the end of this peplum. All right, so this is very easy, and when I'm done with this side, I will do the same thing for the other side. All right, so after pinning it up, I just went to my machine and gave it a stitch, and then this is how it looks. Now for this side, I will fold in, okay, just as seen in this video, what I'm doing now, and then I'll run my stitch all the way, okay, to the point where I will be joining the upper part. Now, how do you join the upper part at this point? You are going to find the midpoint again. All right, now I gave my band a good press. You can see the way I gave it a good press after actually sewing that point. Now this part that has the demarcation where the joining of the 2 360s are, I just used my pin to indicate it on the band. All right, now I'm going to get the midpoint of this upper part of this jacket and fold it into 2, then just get the midpoint and place this midpoint inside the band, just as seen in this video. Just what you are seeing here now, that's what I'm doing actually, and I'm ensuring that this thing is not entering too deep inside the band. You know that this band is about 3 inches. If you push this upper part too much inside, that's too down, that means you're already removing like either 2.5 inches out of the band, and that will not be nice. So just use about 1/2 inch. All right, just as seen in this video, you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to place it accurately and perfectly, and practically this is what is demanded of this peplum. This is very easy. You can see that it is very, very easy. Okay, so after I had already placed it, I pinned it, and then you can sew at this point, but I will show you, I would rather prefer that you pin everything. Now for this front part, don't forget that what we just pinned is the back. Okay, now for this front part, I will also place this upper part to that point. Look at where my peplum is starting from. I'll look at that point, and then I'll place this upper part now inside the band at that point where my peplum is starting from either the left side or the right side. Just ensure that you're placing it rightly. Okay, you can see what I'm doing, just as seen in this video. Do your own like that. It's very, very easy. Okay, and then I will shift it. Once I'm done with that side, I will do for this side as well. I'll check where my own peplum is starting from, or okay, at this side, and then I'll place in about 1/2 inch into the band, only 1/2 inch, and then I'll pin it. All right, and then after doing this, what is expected is that you run your stitch from the beginning of the band to the end, because you can see the beginning of the band is not yet closed. So you now run your stitch, a very straight stitch from here all the way down to the end of the other side. And once you're done with this, your jacket is ready. So thank you so much for watching this video up to this point. Don't forget to like this video. Thank you.